Hey everyone, this is Andrew, and in this video I'm going to show you what's included in PopStrings UK by Queueup Arts. So PopStrings UK is kind of a combination of samples and loops of kind of orchestral settings. So what they did is they broke it up into 8 songs, and they, individually exported all the loops and segments that you would need. But in addition to that, they collaborated with, I guess, some kind of music producer that works on traditionally like hip-hop beats or pop beats. And the result's pretty cool, and I was very interested in it because a lot of what I do with electronic music is I like to blend in kind of orchestral or natural sounds with the synthesizers that make up, electronic music. So this is kind of already in the style that I like. So Queueup Arts sent this over for review, just in full disclosure. So I just want to show you what's in the pack initially, and I'll show you a couple sounds, not too much because I don't want to give away all the goodies, but so as I said, they broke it up into 8 songs. If you open up the first song, or any of them, you'll notice that there's some stems. So there is an entire track in WAV and MP3. Then they broke up each individual instrument as a full stem for the whole song. And that's great. You probably won't use that as much as you will the loops. Now what they did here is this is kind of your traditional sample and loop pack kind of layout. So they have every single section. In this case, there's 3. I think most of them have 3 sections. And they're looped for each one, and the last ones have tails. Some parts will have tails and regular parts in different iterations. Drums are split in between full, stripped, and top. So stripped is kind of like bass and kick, kick and snare, or something similar to that, depending on the track. Tops is kind of like your cymbals, maybe some other percussive elements, hi-hats, stuff like that. You'll have piano, you'll have strings, cello, viola, violins. And then you also have dry versions. So that's great because often you won't want the process version if you're going to try to make it gel in your mix. And you can see they got pretty detailed with the naming. There's violin, dry section 3 plus tail, 1 beat before, and then they have like regular versions and stuff. So they gave you a lot of options, which is good. Because it's hard to predict what your customers are going to want. So hopefully they've covered all their bases with that. Worst case, you can do some sound design to make it work in your mix. Now, of course, every song has its own key and BPM. If you use a modern DAW, like Ableton Live, which I have open in the back, you can just time stretch it or transpose it to work in your track if you need it to match a track. Sometimes what I'll do with packs like this is I'll use them as the bed of inspiration for a whole track. So I might drag in, a pre-written chord progression or melody right into my DAW, either Live or Logic, and just write a whole song around it. The track I'm going to show you a quick sneak peek of, I didn't do that. I had a song already going, and I dragged in some of the drums from, I don't even know, Rolling Hills from this one. And then I tempo sync it, and I didn't have to transpose it because it was just the drums. So I'll just click this Gotham saved one, and we'll just take a listen to a little bit of the demo. So this one's in D minor. And I'll just skim through a little bit. So as you can probably tell, it has a very modern orchestral sound. Some of these are in different styles, like Bittersweet. There's a completely different style. I'll click the wave. Yeah, it has that kind of electronic orchestral hybrid thing going on, which is great because it can work very well in modern pop style mixes, which is probably why it's called PopStrings UK. Let me get rid of that window. So if I open up another one of these folders and I click drum shots, you can see in here they've also exported the actual individual drum hits, which is great because you might want to use a loop, but then you might have another section of the song where you need a completely different beat, and you won't be able to do that without chopping the samples, and that doesn't always work well. So they're giving you the raw sounds. You can construct your own beats, which is very handy as well. So that covers what's included in the pack. Basically, it's a standard sample and loop pack, but it's a hybrid pack between very nicely and very well written string arrangements and piano arrangements combined with these kind of very groovy grooves, these drum loops and very interesting sounds. They're not just like a standard like 808 with a kick and like a analog snare or something like that. Like they're pretty cool beats, and they have a lot of organic elements mixed in them. And I'll show you this one that I used. Keep in mind this is time stretched. So that's a kick and a kind of snare type thing. Now if I solo these two tracks, you'll hear what I did with these two layers. Oh, sorry, that's actually the wrong one. What I did to spice this up is I actually got a copy of this one, and I put Slate Digital's trigger on it. So the rhythm of this, in terms of the bass, is triggering a metal kick drum. So that just adds a little bit of oomph on the kick drum. You'll hear the cymbals, or the tops, I guess, as well. Which is pretty exciting. Now, you probably imagine just listening to it that it sounds kind of like it's made for an epic, orchestral, or movie trailer type thing. That's not at all what I did with this. I'll play the intro of this song. This is a song I'm working on for an upcoming single and probably eventually an album. It's a different kind of style for me, but I'll just play a little bit of it for you.
Open your eyes.
So as you can hear, that's kind of like a chill kind of groove. It goes into this talking section.
I have you on repeat, grasping for tender moments I hold on to like delicate keys.
And that's all great. Now it gets a little more interesting when these hi-hat kind of things kick in.
Same taste, if not such a delicacy. Open your eyes.
So as you can hear, I got something of an orchestral / epic / hip-hoppy, I guess, kind of, or pop production kind of drums. And I turned it into like a chill, down-tempo electronic track. And that was pretty cool. Another cool thing about this track, since I already have it open, I thought this was very, very cool, is these are labeled Serum, but they're not necessarily all Serum. I have kind of like a pad that I made here. I have a standard sub bass, just like a sine wave. And then here I actually have Spitfire audio textures, which is another awesome contact library by the wonderful Spitfire Audio. And if my computer eventually loads, it'll show you that it's this like very organic sound, and it has this interface where you can like actually map different samples across the keyboard. So what I did is I copied my pad sound and I just put it on this track. And then when you map it onto this instrument, it just like, I'll just show you. It's amazing. It's very rich. It has a lot of detail. And I sidechained it just like the pad in the sub bass. So it's electronic, but it's also orchestral, and it's this kind of hybrid organic thing that's very cool. And now another couple cool things. This is also the textures library. These vocal samples are something I picked up on Splice. These drum sounds are all entirely, except for like the extra added kick drum doubling that I did. And then these are also more Splice samples. And then lastly, I have Gravity. I have Arcade by Output, running some additional vocal samples, which you can hear right here. Processing them, and then here I have more Arcade. And then I added an additional drum layer using some pack I bought on ADSR. I think it was by Origin Sounds, but I just picked up a cool kind of shaker pattern, threw it on there, And then also I have Vocalese by Heaviosity, which gives, or sorry, that's the wrong one. This one. So that's actually vocal samples mapped across the keyboard. And they're these kind of evolving things, so they're never quite the same. And then they're also sidechained. So it's this, again, it's like an electronic hybrid thing. So that's just kind of one use case of how you might use Pop Strings UK. Here I just used it for the drums, but as I mentioned before, the drums are very good. They're not just like your standard thing. So it's a cool way to spice up a track. And originally I didn't start with this. I think I started with this vocal thing, and then I put this chord progression on it, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna try putting some Pop Strings drums on there, and it worked perfect. So that's kind of the magic of sample manipulation and these sample packs, is that I would have never written this myself. I would have never picked out the right drum sounds myself. So it's just, not only is it going to be a song starter, but going to be a very cool way to spice up your sound. So anyways, that's it for this video. I could probably rant on for another hour about various things I did in the track. But yeah, I'm going to make more videos in Pop Strings UK, and also eventually you'll hear this song come out. So yeah, enjoy the video. Please leave a like. Consider subscribing for more. I upload videos every single Tuesday and Friday at least. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Same taste, if not such a delicacy.